Hi there, Aquarius. Welcome to your end of August 2024 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. Alrighty then. Let's see what we've got here. So this is post full moon in your sign and anything that may have occurred at that time. Oops. I'm just looking. And I got the tower. Oh, it's funny. The tower in this deck, which is, if you're interested in the name of this, it's called the Light Seers Tarot deck. The tower in this deck is kind of like, looks like Bambi or something. Probably they want to make it less threatening. Oops. I'm having issues with my tripod because it's like, you know, some of these you have to put together manually. They don't just fold out, and this one, I think the base is loose, and I'm not sure I have the proper tool to tighten whatever you call it, the bolt. Okay, I'm going to pick an additional card. Okay, put this to the side. Alrighty then, so hopefully this isn't too lopsided. As long as it stays steady, that's all I care about, I guess. The heart of the matter is the Fool card, and you see that in this deck, which I find intriguing, I've noticed that there are several cards, in particular the Magician card, the Fool card, and they seem like more like the Flower of Life, but also a Whirlpool or a Vortex, and the Five of Cups, which is more on the challenging side emotionally. And I guess it's like all about what do you want to create, that you have the power to create something that's really beautiful or something that is really not what you want, and you have that choice that you can make about how you're going to get there. And the Fool card is all about 0 point, which is the point of creation. So sometimes we create things on top of what has already existed. This is about creating something totally different than you ever have in your life. And if you feel that you've recently gone through a major purge somehow, this could be indicative of a new chapter opening up for you, and it may be new territory for you. Because you're a sign that is emotionally detached and also futuristic, I don't think that this is a problem. I think that you embrace the new, but you are a fixed sign. So there is that contradictory tendency of Aquarians. I was just reading in, I don't know, online, I guess it was, and they were saying, you know, the contradiction of Aquarius is that they are unpredictable and yet so predictable sometimes. And it is true, I've observed this, is that there are certain things where you may be very fastidious about doing consistently. But then who knows, maybe if you have a habit that you're doing and then all of a sudden you abandon it randomly, and it's like, what? Why did they do that? Well, you just decided you wanted to for some reason. But yeah, so think about that if that resonates with you, if you are going in a new direction, or if you feel it like it's on its way, because it might be true, and it could be in, you know, a particular area of life. Maybe you just got divorced and you were married for 20 years, and now and you got married when you were 24, and this is the first time that you have been single since early adulthood, and so it's totally new territory for you. Those kinds of things. In the past position, we have the Two of Cups, so Oh yeah, I didn't think about it this way. If you have committed to someone, that can be something very new for you, and you might not be a spring chicken. Maybe you were single for 30 years or 35 years and didn't even have a serious relationship, and then all of a sudden you fell madly in love with someone, and this feels like totally new territory. Even if you've seen your friends get married or have children and you just were always the single person. And even if it's something happy, like falling in love and committing to somebody, it can be scary because it's just something that is new, and new things, we don't know what the end result is going to be. So there's always that trepidation. Is this really going to work out in my favor? And of course, that's where faith comes in. The Two of Cups is also a card of reuniting with someone, and that can produce the same results. Perhaps you fell in love with somebody when you were 15 and they broke your heart and you never really recovered from it. I mean, it can happen. And all of a sudden, you've met someone that really knocks your socks off, and you're like, I'm here for this. I really want this person in my life. And that's beautiful. It's something that not every person gets to experience. Even if they do end up getting married, living with someone, they may not be in love with that person. Just because you're with someone doesn't mean you love them. So if you have reunited with someone, I mean, we had the Mercury retrograde. As I'm recording it, it's still going on and will for almost the entire duration of this time frame. And that kind of thing can be very challenging sometimes for people because it's not something that they don't feel prepared for. So this can be taking the plunge, which is something that is you have to approach it with a spirit of adventure. The higher message is the Tower card. If this is connected to love, there may be this, see that electrical bolt, that lightning, that's actually associated with your sign, Aquarius. That's what those, I just found that out. You'd think I'd know that by now. Those jagged, Z-like, things, that's lightning. And that connects with the Uranian influence of Aquarius. The Saturnian is more of the organized and disciplined part of yourself, but that the Uranian thing is kind of out of the blue. And that's what the tower card can feel like, that something is just happening. Some people would describe it as calamity hitting all of a sudden. Well, that's not really what the Tower card is all about. The Tower card is about liberation. And I think Aquarius is described as the awakener. Now, the awakener creates liberation because what it means is that you are awakening people to the truth of life, and that breaks them free from bondage of illusion, of false understanding of the reason that we are here. And the other thing about this card, as it pertains to something personal to you in your life at this moment, is that I feel like for some people, they may have experienced this like love, what would you call it, like what is it, love at first sight, where it was like everything else fell away before that moment, and all of a sudden you saw that person and you knew that you were going to be with them forever. Yes, I do believe that happens. And if you're somebody who has been single for a really long time, you may have given up and not thought that you were ever going to meet someone, and then you did. Now, this could also be if you have lost your job, or what can I say, like maybe chosen your spiritual life. The Two of Cups can be a choice. You may have chosen to follow your spirit. It might not have been that you lost your job, but you might have, but the interesting thing is it might have been on the surface that was what happened, but really you had been thinking about it all along. So it leaves you free to pursue what you really wanted. The Tower is about release, and that means that there was pressure. That means that something was building that was going to, it's like the cork was going to pop. What crosses you is the wheel, which is the Wheel of Fortune. This can mean that you're not respecting cycles, that you're not connecting the dots. So it makes me think that there was a Tower moment. Maybe it was around the time of that full moon, although that just happened. So I don't know how many people had some kind of life-changing event just a few days ago. Anything is possible, I suppose. But the bottom line is that, we never have any kind of guarantees in life. And sometimes it can feel very unnerving when we think we are doing all the right things and something still doesn't go our way, or, but really, like for instance, with the work situation, sometimes people are very fear-based and they're trying to keep their job. They do everything they can because they think that would be the worst thing that could ever happen to them. And it's to remind people that no, there are cycles in life that we have to respect, whether we initiate it or not. And that's what the eclipses are all about, is about change being inevitable, whether we initiate it or the universe does it on our behalf. By the way, I was thinking astrologically, besides your full moon in your first house, you're going to have a lunar eclipse. Speaking of eclipses, and this is going to be the first in the pair between Virgo and Pisces. This one will be a Pisces lunar eclipse on the 17th of September. And why this matters is that it's falling in your second house of earned income. So when I do these tarot readings, I have no idea whether some of these cards are supposed to be the past, or, what it all means chronologically, if it means anything to anyone at all. So the Tower card could be, letting you know that you have to have faith, regardless of whatever it is that you're doing personally. Of course, be smart about the choices you make, and don't just say, well, I have no ultimate control, so I'm just going to not exert any control over my life. That's the other extreme. But just to be aware that, I was thinking of that song by George Harrison, All Things Must Pass Away, but that might not be very, very comforting, because this eclipse is taking place in your house of money. Actually, it might even indicate like a major influx of money. But the point is that it's really not about that. These things are temporary. They're part of the world. They're a means to an end. So we don't cling to those things. But understanding, like, if you get freaked out because something happens that you did not want on a conscious level, even though I think unconsciously you might have, and it makes you feel like you have no control of your life, what about if you reflect on it and say, was I really happy here? Was this really what I wanted? And you may find that the answer is no, but you might still be like, yeah, but I wanted to determine it. Well, now is the time, apparently, where this was to happen. What is coming in is the Eight of Pentacles. This can be a time of gaining training experience. Maybe you are working in a new profession, a new line of work where you are apprenticing, you're kind of following somebody else's guide. And that's why it's a new thing. Maybe you're going into a new career altogether. But it can be very good for money, actually. And I think for work situations, like, there's a sense of empowerment for whatever reason that is really great for you to get your foot wet so that you can do something that is much more in alignment with what it is that you want. But it can get messy in the in-between period. And just honoring that, not feeling like there's something wrong with that, would be great. By the way, I adjusted my tripod. I had to pause. The outcome, the Three of Swords. Actually, I could have ended on this card because I'm like, oh man, I don't want to end on such a negative card. But there's another interpretation. What we would call negative, I don't really like the word negative, but the more challenging end of this card is all about a sense of heartbreak, a sense of rejection. So, as I was stating with if somebody loses their job, it might be because there was a budget deficit and they were the last ones to get hired and the first to get fired. So it was nothing personal. It was just based on how their rules are. But it can still feel like a slap in the face. That's just human nature. And that's something that a person has to confront. Same thing as if their marriage falls apart. And another person leaves a relationship. It could have nothing to do with that person who's getting left. On a conscious level, it might be that person simply crisis of their own, and then you take that to mean that you're unworthy when it has nothing to do with that. So that's one of the possible interpretations. But what I would say too is being able to cut something off very cleanly. I think this is a specialty of Aquarius, is to be able to emotionally divorce yourself from something. Not that you're just a robot and you don't have feelings whatsoever, but not to allow feelings to keep you somewhere indefinitely. And so if there is a job that you were unexpectedly laid off from, and this is something that has already occurred. I don't want you to think that this is something that is necessarily in the future, although, of course, there are no guarantees in life. But so maybe I shouldn't even say that, but I don't like to create any kind of negative vibes about, oh, wow, this is going to happen. And then you're anticipating the worst. But whether it has happened, it is above this card. The point is that you can move on from it. And part of the way that you do that is not seeing it as a calamity, but it's seeing it, there must be something that is a blessing in this situation. There must be. It's not just some kind of like horrible event, because we see that people sometimes do have a downward spiral. But I don't feel it's because of one thing. I feel like the person interpreted an event in a certain way that led them to make other bad choices and have other, negative thoughts about it. And then it just kind of like snowballed. So being able to put things in proper context is very important. And yeah, so I picked an additional card just because, of that image. I didn't want to end on that image alone. And I got Page of Wands. Start spreading the news. Good news on its way. And this is also a card of the beginning stages of a passion project, something you're very happy about. I think that the Two of Cups and the Page of Wands, I think both of those cards indicate some kind of maybe like a creative project, or something that is with healing, involved with healing, or simply that you are the creator of it. It's not something that, like when you get hired somewhere, but you're actually the one that's coming up with the ideas. And it makes you happy, and you feel that sense of autonomy, which Wands, the fire element, specializes in. And that is the direction that you feel comfortable going in. So that's what I have for you, Aquarius. I hope that this resonated. If you would like an astrological reading or a tarot reading, you can find out more information at the link below. Thanks for watching. Bye.